Micah. The Micah. Hey, we're going to get started. We are recording, and we've got 2 on Zoom and like 60 people in-house, so it's pretty awesome. We've got the Micah Olson here. Micah's going to be sharing some of his major expertise. I'll have him give a quick bio, first 30 seconds or so when he comes up, but give it up for Micah. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, like on the fridge, they put all appliances.
Hey, give me a thumbs up online if you can hear me okay. Just want to check and make sure my mic is good. Or if you're not sharing video,
I can hear you.
type something. You can hear me good?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, thanks, Joe. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different than some Ignite sessions have been. A lot of times with Ignite, like we really hold people's feet to the fire. And like you've got homework that you're supposed to come in with, and then we teach the Ignite class based on that. I was talking to Josh and asking if that's how we're doing this Ignite class, and he said, not really. And I said, by not really, do you mean like we're kind of doing it or we're not doing it? And he said, we're really not. So rather than checking in and having like a raise of hands of have you done this and have you done this and basing it off that, I'm just going to stress the importance of what's in here. One of the mistakes that I made in my business, so I've been licensed since 2001. Before that, I owned a real estate coaching company. I've coached somewhere between 400 to 500 agents in business systemization and technology use. And I had a client once down in Las Vegas. I was living in Las Vegas, and this wasn't all because of me. This guy was an animal. Like literally, he would make calls from 8 in the morning until lunch, and he'd go and grab lunch and then go to listing walkthroughs after that. And he had a month where he made over $90,000 in commission. And I was making about half of that in a year as a coach. And I realized I'm in the wrong business. You know, I need to be going out and doing this. So that's when I moved to Utah, got my real estate license. I continued coaching for a little while and then started building a business license. So I've been a licensed real estate agent in Utah since 2001. I've had my broker's license, I don't know how long, 5 or 6 years ago. I also hold a broker's license in Idaho because that's a hot market. So that's my bio. Let's talk just real quickly about the goal of this class is to talk about finding and showing homes, qualifying homes, and then kind of developing your showing skills. In my opinion, this is an important part of the process, but it's not the most important part of the process. I hope that you had a really good Ignite in the last session talking about qualifying buyers and having the sit-down meeting with the buyers in person and things like that. Am I right on that? You did? Okay. Has anybody that's attending here had a come into the office meeting with a buyer before you've gone out and showed homes? Okay, you have, tell me your name again,
Tristan.
Tristan, okay.
Yeah, so we did a buyer broker and such, but they're probably a month or 2 out. They just have to build their credit a little bit. So,
okay, so you got a buyer broker, they're a month or 2 out. I can't remember your names online, Joe. Could you hear him?
Oh, no, I didn't have to.
Okay. Let's just make sure we turn the mic on and do it so people can see it later. Okay. So you did a buyer broker. They're a little bit out. You said they're working on credit.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a lender that's on your team that's helping them with that? Oh, cool. Okay. First Colony is great. Have they put together a plan and said, do this and this and this, and you should be ready to buy in this many months?
I'm not sure if he sent them that.
Okay. Check in on that. And then don't leave it up to the lender. It's your client and your relationship. So what I want you to do is set milestones in your database. Are you using Command? Okay. Do you have command? Okay. Set milestones, tasks in your database and say, call Bob or whatever his name is, see if he got that Capital One card. Or call so-and-so, see if they've paid off. You know, they told me they'd have their motorcycle paid off within 3 months. Call them in a month and a half. Always set it at half of the time. Call them and check in. How's it going? Do we need to update it? It'll be an easy call to make. It'll count as one of your contacts, which is important. And it builds that relationship with you as opposed with a lender. And then when they pop on Zillow in 3 months because they're getting closer to buy, instead of going to your site, hopefully you'll have the relationship and they'll call you. If not, you'll have a scheduled call to them anyways in your database to call and give them a shot. So, okay. Just as a quick story, I never used to do, we called them come into the office meetings or CITO meetings, CITO meetings. I never used to do that because it drove me nuts. The first time I tried it was probably like 11 or 12 years ago. And I had somebody come in, they were an online lead. At the time I was paying like $40,000 a year to Zillow to buy leads. They came from that, they sat. Yeah, I was, yeah, I was. And I was making good money doing that. It wasn't a bad place to buy. Since then, Zillow's become more expensive, more competitive, and less loyal. So I don't know if I would make my money back on it today, but it was a good source. So they, this lead, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I was at Keller Williams South Valley. You know, they come into the office, I'm all ready. And the guy, you know, I get through the thing. He's like, that's great. Just so you know, we're not signing any papers with you. And I'm like, why not? And he said, we had another agent that did a whole job and we were signed in with him and he wouldn't let us out. And I kind of tried the script of like, you know, hey, we have an easy exit list, you know, clause agreement in here that if at any time you feel like I'm not living up to what I told you you would do, we can come in and have a meeting and I can let you out of the contract and recommend you to another agent. And he still just said, yeah, we're just not going to do that. The one thing that I did right in that, because I failed in a ton of other places, is I told him, great, good luck on your home search. And I walked out. And he couldn't believe it. He's like, wait, you know, I ended the meeting and I'm walking out of there and he's kind of like, well, are we going to talk about houses? I got these 2 houses I want to see. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? I can't even remember his name now. I said, I make a priority of doing the best service for buyers that I'm working with to make sure they get to the homes faster than anybody else, get better deals than anybody else, and are more prepared to buy than anybody else. I take time away from my family and from other buyers to come and work with you. And I hope you'll understand me. But if you're not willing to give me the commitment of giving me a shot to do that, I need to take my time and dedicate it to another buyer who is. And I said, best of luck. Email me if you change your mind. And I never heard from him again. But that come into the office meeting, another story, more positive story on that. I had one when I had moved my office over here. Came into the office. I had their name on a screensaver bouncing around like welcome. I can't remember their name, Mike and Sally or whatever, you know. And they sat down and we were going through it. I passed the paperwork to sign him and he stopped for a minute. He looks up at me. He's like, you know what? Name on that screensaver. I've never seen anybody that was so prepared. That took me like 20 seconds, you know, but I think it might have been a Lee Stern recommendation to put their name. By the way, if there's ever a seminar or an in-person thing with Lee Stern that you can go to, you got to go. We just had one a couple weeks ago, right?
What's it called?
Lee Stern is the agent. She's a Keller Williams agent up. Yeah. They're phenomenal. She's, man, sometimes, even now I sit there and I listen to her scripts and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be like her. Anyway, so yeah. And I think the office has a recording of that if you're interested in hearing it. So yeah, that meeting with the buyers is so important. And, you know, obviously it's your choice if you're going to work or not, if they won't sign with you. Sometimes I do, but very rarely these days. Pass that mic back to him real quick.
Is it on now?
Yep.
Do you mind walking us through a few of those that you've had in the past? I'm a new agent, and it's a little nerve-wracking, even for people that I know, signing it. Like, what's your process?
Yeah, okay. So First of all, don't be scared. If you've gotten a car wreck and went into an attorney, what are they going to do? They're going to talk to you about the wreck and the accident and what your needs are, and then you're going to sign in a retainer, right? When you go into a doctor, one of the first things they have you do is sign to say you're going to pay them for services, and if your insurance doesn't cover it, you're going to. Okay, we are professionals. We're just like doctors, attorneys, anybody else. So don't be nervous about it. And when you have the right scripts of what to say and do, it gets a lot easier. So as an example, I had a client that referred me. So I sold their townhome a couple of months ago, moved them into a brand new house down the street. Super awesome. They were a past client, full commission on the sale and the buy. So 6% commission on like $780,000 of business. So super cool. Just got a text from them 2 days ago. That would have been Sunday. So Saturday, 3 days ago. And they said, hey, we got a friend that lived by us in the townhomes. They called us and said they want to do exactly what we did. So great. So I called a friend up and just said, hey, you work with the Lonnies or you're friends with the Lonnies. I help them. And they're like, yeah, we're super excited to meet with you. I said, great. First thing we need to do is have a meeting. Since you're looking at selling your townhome and buying a home, I'm going to combine 2 meetings into one. We're going to have a walkthrough of your house because I want to see how awesome it is. If it's anything like the Lonnie's house was, this is going to be a fun process for you. Secondly, I always do a free consultation with my buyers. I want to go through what your wants and your needs are. I want to get to know your search so well that I'm going to call you one day at 10 in the morning and say, you've got to take 15 minutes off work, take your lunch early, whatever you can do. We've got to go see this house. This is the house you're going to want to buy. And I'm usually right about 85% of the time because I'll get to know your search. The way that we do that is we have a sit down. We talk about your needs. We talk about your wants. We talk about your lending qualification. We talk about the home buying process. And when we start looking at homes, we are 100% ready to go and find you the best house for your needs. Now, here's the trick. The market right now is incredibly fast. I mean, who wouldn't want to buy a house with 2.7% interest rates, right? We all know prices are going up despite COVID. We were all a little worried in March, wondering what's going to happen. We've gone up in some places over 10% in the last 12 months. And this is what I'm saying to the buyer. So we want to make sure you're ready to go and ready to find, when we find that house, I want you to feel comfortable pulling the trigger quickly. So that's what this buyer meeting is about. Once we've talked through all of the process, we'll have some paperwork that says, I represent you. You are my fiduciary responsibility to find you the best thing possible that I can for you. In turn, you're telling me that when you find a house and you have questions or needs, you're going to come to me and let me do the research. That's how real estate agents make money. A lot of people, we all get a little bit cautious when we're talking about money. I just want you to know how I make my money is by earning the right to work with you through hard work, integrity, and good communication. And I'm going to commit to do that. You're going to commit to working with me as your agent. And if there's ever any difficulties, I have an easy exit agreement that's part of that buyer's paperwork that we're going to do that says if I'm not living up to that, you can get out of the contract. No one's ever used that. I've always done a good job for my buyers, but I put it in there so that you have some peace of mind. So would Wednesday at 5 o'clock work for us to sit down? We'll go through this listing process in your home. We'll have the paperwork ready to get that started. We'll talk about the buyer search. I'll have the paperwork to get that started. And then we get to do the fun stuff. We'll get out and take a look at houses. Does that sound like something you could say to your friends?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's just, and people will have objections, why do I got to sign this with you? It says here I'm going to pay you 3%, blah, blah, blah. You'll just answer those, same thing that you just said, you'll repeat most of it. Why do I don't know if we feel comfortable committing to you as an agent right now. Awesome. I feel totally comfortable committing to be your agent. Let's talk about what your concerns are about you committing to have me as your agent, because I want to earn the right to be your agent. Let's have that conversation.
I don't want to take over your class or anything.
No,
Do you
go ahead.
mind talking about some of the you already have talked about a few, but some of the major concerns that you've seen that?
Mostly it comes back to they don't know you, right? How do I know you're going to do a good job and now we're locked into this contract, right? That's rare. If you come across confident and you're going to do a good job, it's rare for people to pop that up, especially people you know. You mentioned friends and family. Usually they're ready to do it. If we get a little hesitant, like, okay, so I got this paperwork and what it says is that You're only going to be allowed to work with me as your agent, but I got an out for you. If I don't do a good job, you can just cancel it. But I'm going to do a good job. You know, like that, they're going to look at you like, boy, I'm not signing that. But if we come in and so that's the importance of scripts. Practice that. Grab a partner and practice those scripts. So if somebody says to me, we had a bad experience with an agent in the past, and I don't know if we feel comfortable saying that you're going to be our agent, I say, I get it. I completely understand. And actually, in a way, that's what keeps me in business. Because there's like thousands of real estate agents around. Some of them are part-time, which is a really hard thing to do as a real estate agent. Some of them have never sold a house in the past. Some of them are with companies that offer no support. At our company, we close X number of deals per year. And I'd give the Keller Williams numbers. I don't know how many deals we close per year. Thousands? At my company, we close thousands of real estate transactions a year. And I am 100% confident that I will be able to earn your business. I want you to feel that and to understand that. That's why I put that clause in that says, if at any time you feel like I am not living up to what I promised I would do in this agreement, you and I can have a sit down, we'll talk about it. And if we determine that you're right, we'll let you out of the contract. You'll move on. You can work with anybody that you want. Easy. I've never had anybody come back and use that. I had one person once, we got him under contract on a really good deal on a house. And then they tried to use that. Because they had talked to the sellers and said, if we could get rid of our agents, we'll get a bigger commission. And I just said, that's not how it works. And they stayed with me and I got the commission. And actually, I kept them on my follow-up list. And I think they forgot that they had tried to be dishonest because like 9 months later, they referred their sister to me and I sold their house. So yeah, great question. Okay. And all of that happens in what you learned last week in the buyer presentation meeting. So well, they've got it online somewhere. I went in to try to watch it because I wasn't there either. And they said, yeah, it's on the Keller Williams page. And I went in to try to find it to watch it over the weekend so that I would know what was taught there. And I couldn't find it. So ask Josh or Sid. They'll know where it's at for you. Okay, so we're going to talk about qualifying the homes that you find, developing your showing skills, powerful scripts to help in the decision-making process. What we don't want, that last point there, developing scripts, we don't want to help somebody find the perfect house and then they get wishy-washy or nervous or buyer's remorse and all of a sudden they're gone. Because what happens then, they still want to buy a house, but they feel weird about having done that to you. And so contact starts to drop off and they end up buying with another agent, even if you have a buyer broker, because they never told the other agent that you had one, right? So we're going to talk about developing scripts and how to keep contact when the home buying process isn't being really fast. Hi, thanks for coming.
Hi, yeah.
What's your name?
I've been on Zoom this morning,
Oh, cool.
I'm Alex.
Alex, okay. If we're asking questions, grab the mic and ask so that it can be recorded. And if you forget, I'll just repeat your question. So, okay. So the things that normally in an Ignite session you would have done prior to coming here, it's called the mission. There's a list. I'm on like page 6 of the packet. I think we're number 8 today, right? So page 6 of lesson 8. This is something I really want you guys to do. So I have a MAPS coach that coaches me right now. And the one thing that she just beat me up on like 2 weeks ago, she said, how many people are you adding every week to your database? And I was like, I thought I graduated from that. You know, I've closed hundreds and hundreds of deals. They're all in my database. Like I've got my neighbors in there, like, but I haven't been adding to it really. And she really beat me up for that. You know, she's like, what are your 2021 goals? And I told her, and she said, okay, that means you need to have, I think it was 550 people in your database in addition to everything else you're doing. And I'm not there. So she made me get a commitment of how many people a week I'm going to add to my database. They talk about a daily 10-4. What you're trying to do is add 10 contacts per week to your database. You're trying to have 10 connections a day. My understanding is what they're calling a connection, I call a conversation. So you're talking to somebody and real estate comes up in the conversation. Consider a connection or a conversation. And that can be so easy. I mean, you go to church on Sunday or you go to a kid's soccer game and you mention that you're in real estate and say, what do you do? Oh, I'm a CPA. Oh, I bet you're busy right now with all the paycheck loans and everybody had their taxes extended. And how's your work going? Oh man, it's crazy right now. Boy, how's real estate? Have you guys just gotten demolished because of COVID? What would your answer be to that?
No, it's a hot market.
Well, it's a hot market.
Interest rates are low.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I have people ask me that every day, and I'm just like, oh my word, it's unbelievable right now. I figured in March, when all of us were freaking out about COVID, that, you know, me and my wife looked at our finances and we're like, okay, we're good for, you know, we could have a year of kind of being slow. And I was looking forward to spending time with the kids. I have had more buyers and sellers approach me right now in this market than I ever had in the 20 years I've been doing real estate. It is hot. And actually, could I ask you something? Do you know of anybody that's thinking of selling a house right now?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you? Okay. So now if you're the client, if you're the person I'm talking to, would you mind giving me their name and phone number? We have an incredible shortage of houses on the market right now. Interest rates are so low. People know values have been going up. Can I get their name and number from you? I'll call out in a nice way, say that you mentioned that they might be selling a house or thinking of it down the road. I'd love to have a conversation with them, at least get them a free valuation on their home. If they say no, you know, because if you know, they know I'm a real estate agent now, right? If they say yes, that they know someone, what's that mean? That means I'm going to ask them, right? So if they say no, then what I say is, I really appreciate you taking time to think about that. It really means a lot to me. And I really am looking for people that I can help sell their homes right now. And honestly, even people that are looking to buy a home right now, it is such a complicated market and a fast market that I could really do some good things for them as well. We have a whole system of getting people to houses quickly so that they can be the first offer in. And we have an 80% success rate of getting my buyers' offers accepted when they offer on a house. So here's what I'd like you to do. Could I just check in with you in a week? And if you've heard anybody talking about, I wonder what my house is worth, or thinking I should buy or sell, would you mind if I just check in with you in a week and see if you've heard anything like that, and we can have a little conversation? Cool. I'll call you next Friday. And by the way, we're doing this event in October on the 12th. I'll send you some information. It's going to be a home buyer seminar, whatever your event is, right? So in September, I would have said we have a big outdoor movie event that we're doing. We're showing Mulan in the park in Provo. We have free Chick-fil-A that we're bringing in. I'd love to have you and some friends come. I'll get you a reservation for that, right? So the conversations that you're having, the 10 connections or conversations that you're making, have something to talk to them about. If you're scared to do a buyer seminar or a home seller seminar, pair up with some people in the office and a lender and say, what could we talk about right now? We could talk about rates being low and where we think they might go. Everyone loves to speculate on that. We can talk about how fast properties are going. We can pull some Utah Board of Realtor statistics, and we can tell people that the average days on market right now in the Orem Provo area is 8 days for houses, and the average sales price, average listing price is $359,000, but the average sales price is actually $361,000, which is a very rare thing to have the sales price be higher than the buy price. Put together like 6 talking points, get on and do a video. Then when you're talking to neighbors and family and stuff, you will seem like an expert when you say, oh, by the way, I'm doing a home buyer seminar online this month. It's going to be on whatever, Facebook Live or Zoom or however we're doing it. I'd love to invite you to that. Do you know of anybody besides yourself that might be interested in learning about our market right now? It just gives you something to talk about, right? Okay, so adding 10 contacts a week to your database, that could be people from your kid's soccer team. It can be the person that cuts your hair. It can be the, whoever, a doctor that you go to. Mention real estate, that you do that. Ask them about how their business is. They will in turn feel obligated to ask you about how your business is, and then have a short line. Oh, my market is so hot right now. It's unbelievable. With rates being so low and everybody thinking that values are going to continue to go up, everybody is looking to buy a house right now or sell a house right now. And then I ask them, have you heard conversations like that? Oh yeah, my assistant was just saying she wants to buy a house. That's so awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'd love to chat with her. Oh, by the way, we're doing a seminar on this day. I love the seminars because even if only 2 people show up, you're sitting there with the expert now, right? And it's an easy conversation to have. So add 10 people a week, have 10 conversations a day, not voicemails, but conversations about real estate. 10 notes a day. That I suggest, if you have their mailing address, send them a handwritten note. It was so nice talking to you today. I look forward to chatting with you next week. Hope you can make it to our buyer seminar I look forward to getting to know you and shoot that out. I get calls every week from people that say, I got your card. Oh my word. That's so cool that you sent me a thank you card. Like, I appreciate that. And by the way, I did have a neighbor that's asked what their home is worth, and I gave them your information or whatever. So that's another topic of how to train people to give referrals. But, and then homes previewed, they want you to preview 10 houses a week. I would say only do that if you're taking buyers to see them in this market. Okay. That's just my take. Somebody may shoot me and never have me do an Ignite session again. I don't think you should be going out walking through houses by yourself at this time point, unless you really have nothing else to do. Okay. Let's see. I'm on page 8. One of the things that you would have prepared if we were doing Ignite in the traditional setting is to have a list of service providers. People that you send home warranty referrals to, people that your hairdresser, I don't know what we're supposed to call those people, the auto mechanic that works on your car, the coach of the soccer team, the neighbor that you just met that just moved in. And we should be making calls to them as part of this class. So we're going to skip that because I don't think, did anybody prepare that? Did they? I don't even think they asked you to, right? In the last, okay. I want to talk about a script just real quickly, page 9, of how to call personal or professional service providers. So let's just take the person cutting your hair. Do you go to the same person every time? You do, obviously, because that's what my wife does. She would never just go in. You don't. Okay, start. Honestly, just get their name, call them afterwards and say, hey, you did a really good job. Am I able to just call you directly and come to you every time? How are they going to feel about that? Like, oh, cool. I did a good job. I got a client. Yeah, go ahead. Grab that mic real quick. Oh, you own it. Okay, well, you can't go to her because she's not going to send you business. No. Is it on?
Okay. No, I was just going to say my husband and I own a barber shop, and he's obviously the barber. And he has a lot of loyal clients, and I can't tell you how many of those clients he's gone to for things, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, if they feel like you're loyal to them, they're going to turn around and be loyal to you.
Yep.
And go to you for business. So
100%.
Find someone that you can go to all the time.
Yeah. And that's one out of a bunch of different possibilities, right? But I started going to the same person to cut my hair every time. I've never had a haircut I have hated in my life. I've probably had some I should have hated, but I just don't care. Like, I'm throwing gel on my hair and I'm done. But start going to the same person. Same thing for anything that you're doing. Auto mechanic, we probably go to the same auto mechanic all the time, right? But start having conversations. And here's how the conversation goes. Hi, Tammy. This is Micah with Keller Williams. Remember you cut my hair like 3 weeks ago? Hey, I'm in the process of creating a list of preferred vendors and service providers. I have a lot of people moving here from out of state or moving down to Utah County from Salt Lake County, different things like that. And a lot of people find it very helpful for me to provide a list of service providers in the area. I'm wondering if you'd like to be added to that list. You did a great job cutting my hair. I'm thinking I'll throw you on there. Would that be something that'd be good for you?
I'd love to have more clients.
Cool.
Send them my way.
Good. Awesome. I'm kind of the same as you. I need more clients too. We talked a little bit about real estate. I don't know if you remember me. You probably cut 100 hair every week, but the real estate market is so hot right now. If you ever are talking to somebody as you're cutting their hair, mentions like, oh, I'm so stressed right now. We're thinking of selling our house. I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to have to pack. I'm going to have to find a new house. I don't know about my kids. If you ever hear anything like that, would you be willing to refer them to me?
Absolutely.
That would be so cool. And anybody that I have moving into the area, I'll send them my service providers list, recommended service providers, and you will be right on there.
Wonderful.
Awesome. That's so cool. Thank you so much. And then this says, can we confirm each other's contact information? So, you would go through with that script. Pretty easy, right? One thing that I love to do with my database, I love to know what they do for work, right? So I just had a client that moved up here from Vegas. They bought a house in Santaquin. He's like an engineer of some kind. I don't know exactly what his work is, but they have a food truck business down in Las Vegas that they're bringing here. And so I talked to them like, I've heard a lot of stuff on the news about food trucks. Like, isn't there something where you have to be licensed in every city that you serve? And there's like an association of food trucks that's working with the government to Like, stop that and things. They're like, oh yeah, it's crazy, blah, 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 blah. And we just got our food truck up here and we're getting it licensed. And I said, I do a bunch of events. You just got my invite to the outdoor movie event at Moulin, right? Yeah. Would you like to be the food provider at that event sometime? Like, it's not going to be huge. We might only have 200 or 300 people that come. So, $7 a person a food truck night could be pretty good. Like, I would love to introduce you and be like, hey, these guys just bought a house in Santa Clara and have this business. And so they're here tonight. And if you have a party or something, like, think of them. Yeah, it's my client. So I went to them and I just said that, would you like to be it? And they're just like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Thank you so much. And then I say the same thing. I work on referrals too. If you ever hear of anybody that's thinking of buying or selling a house, or even somebody that just says, I wonder what my home is worth, would you grab their name and phone number and send that to me? Of course they're going to, right? And maybe I'll have them come out and do an event, maybe not. It just depends on, how organized they are and how good of a food truck business, but they're going to be on my list. So I would recommend this week, take page 9 from this section 8, identify 10 business and service providers and commit to calling them and running through that script. Okay. And then stay in touch with them. They're not going to send you a referral this week. If they do, that would be awesome. But probably it's going to take some training and some time and some contact. I would probably start having some kind of service provider lunch every 3 months. Then you get to call them and say, hey, I'm having a lunch. I'm going to have a bunch of people. I've got my accountant is coming. I've got my hair cutter that's coming. I've got my kid's soccer coach is coming. He actually owns a construction business and does basement remodels for people. I've got this person coming. Would you like to come and sit down with us? I'd love if we all got to know each other and could refer business to each other. Easy, right? And then you pay what? $8 each for lunch, 5 people. So you pay $40 and you've just gotten a phone call and then an email reminder and then an email asking them what they want for lunch. And then you have the meeting. Are you going to be top of mind when they hear somebody say, I'm thinking about buying or selling a house? Great way to start drumming up business. Okay, make it happen with buyers. Page 13. I'm going to start going through this just real quickly. So 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process. I think it's probably higher than that. I can't think of 8% that aren't. That's almost 1 in 10 that aren't using the internet. I think it's 90. Anyways, everybody's using the internet. There's a problem with that. If you can't convert them to using your home search site, then they're using someone else's. If that's Zillow, their information is getting data mined and sold to the highest bidder. And when somebody pays about $300 to $400 for a lead, for a verified lead from Zillow, how aggressive do you think they're going to be following up with that person? I used to call people about 10 times in the first 10 days, text them every day and send an email every other day when I was working with Zillow, and I was only paying about $80 a lead and I still treated it like gold. You've got to get them converted to your site. We're going to talk about a few things, how to do that. Are all of you familiar? You all are using Command and you know how to set a buyer search up so that they start getting dripped properties, right? Okay, in Ignite, that's called a bin. Do you know how to do that? Okay. I want you to get with Josh after this class and ask him how to take a buyer search and set it up so that Command starts dripping them properties. Okay. Anybody that ever gives you any information about what they want in a home should be on that search, even if they're 2 years out. Oh, someday I'd love to buy 5 acres in Benjamin and get some horses and build a house out there. That's so awesome. You know what I'm going to do? I know it's obviously down the road, kind of a dream. I'm just going to go ahead and set up a search. It'll only send you stuff maybe once a week, a couple times a month. We'll just set it up for 5-acre properties down in Benjamin. You can keep an eye on the market and you can kind of dream about what you're going to do someday. Would that be cool? Okay. Then now it's all about staying top of mind. Every time they see that email from you, they're going to think of you. When they do get ready, you're going to start noticing some things. Command is pretty good about showing you when their intent changes. So what if somebody's been getting that drip text for, hey, I'm going to graduate in the spring and my wife and I are thinking of buying a house. We kind of want to live up by Silicon Slopes because I'm in the tech industry, blah, blah, blah. And so you're starting to drip properties, and then come February, you get an alert from Command that says this guy just logged in and looked at properties every single day for 5 days and favorited this one and looked at this one from 2 different devices and shared it with his wife.
So it shows you all
Yeah.
what they're doing on their
Yeah. It'll give you prompts like that, and you can say, I need to call this guy. I'm getting right now about 5 alerts a day that are just coming to me, not to buyers agents or other people, but from my part of my database. I get about 5 alerts a day of this guy looked at this property 3 times. This guy revisited after 72 days of not being on the site. This guy just saved this property. This guy just asked for a showing. I'm getting about 5 a day. That's gold. So that they call it a BIN on here. I don't even know what it stands for. Buyer Instant Notification. I call it an IDX. It's just a feed that's dripping them properties. Make sure you have that set up for every buyer so you can watch what they're doing. Okay, that was I think we covered all of that stuff. Okay. The one thing that Command is not doing that I like to add to this process. So I categorize my buyers as A, B, or C buyers, and then I have a tag for hot that I'll talk to you just about. This comes back from my Zillow days. A is somebody that wants to buy a house within the next 3 months, 0 to 3 months. B is somebody that's 3 to 6 months. C is somebody that's 6 or more months out. And you can categorize that in any way that you want. What I do, anybody that is an A, I have a system built in my contact management system. I'm not using Command yet. I haven't transferred over just because I have thousands of contacts that it would be a very hard migration, but Command can do all of this. I have a campaign that I launched that says anybody that is in the A category, I need to talk to them at least every other week. I need to have them on a home buyer drip. I need to have them connected with my lender getting pre-approved. And it's just a checklist that you can go through. If they're further out, if they're a B, 3 to 6 months out, maybe I'm calling them once a month. If they're a C, maybe I'm calling them once a quarter and just checking in with them. But I will have a buyer drip set up for all of those people. Then I have what I call a hot buyer. So I add a tag of hot. Anybody that would buy a house as soon as I find the right house is on that hot list. That means they're qualified, they're pre-approved, they have a down payment, like they're ready to buy, we just have to find the house. On those people, I go in additionally, so I set up my drip through my IDX, through Command. I also go on to WFR, to utahrealestate.com, and I set up a search with all of their criteria. I do not have it send that to them. It only comes to me. And have you set up searches, auto searches on Utah Real Estate before? Yeah, but instead of sending it to a client, I uncheck the client box and it just emails to me. In the subject line, I put their name, Bob Jones, home search alert. In the email body, I put their email address so I can very quickly copy it, paste it in, and send it to them. And then I put a list of criteria that they want on a home that cannot be checked in a search box. So I've got already in the search, they want 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 or 3 bathrooms. They don't care about the yard. They want a big open floor plan. And
Micah?
Yeah.
Is there a way you could show them that really quickly on the MLS?
Do I have access to a computer?
Yeah, I'll come down and get that set up.
Cool, thanks.
Okay.
Someone's listening. I thought I said something wrong for a minute. You're telling them to use Utah Real Estate instead of Command. Okay, so I don't know. That's because there's so many of us. They had to crank up the AC to make sure we don't get too hot. So I go in, and so of that search, you know, all those criteria that I gave, what of that can be put into a statistical box? Bedrooms, bathrooms. What else did I say on there? Don't care about the yard, so that doesn't matter. Oh, the location, you know, say they said Springville to Linden or whatever, that can be put in. What can't be put into that box? I mentioned open floor plan, whatever else it is. Maybe they're hoping for a basement entrance so they can convert it into an apartment and rent it out illegally, you know, whatever they want. Anything that can't be put into that search, I put it in my email notes. So I don't even have to remember who this person is. And I don't, honestly. When you've got like 25 people set up on these searches, I'm not going to remember what you wanted, you know. But I get that email alert. It says, hey, 5 properties came up on Bob Jones's email, home search alert. And I look at the email. Okay, he wants an open floor plan, which everybody wants that. He wants a basement entrance, you know, and actually you can put that in the MLS. Let me think of something that wouldn't show up. You know, they're hoping that it already has hard surface flooring and white and gray paint. They don't want to do any work themselves. So that would be in my email. I can then go in and look on that box really quickly. I've got the 5 properties that have come up. They're all in a list on WFR. I've got my notes sent to me of what they wanted that I wouldn't have remembered. And I go through, there's a property. I do not send it to them from Utah Real Estate. You go back into your command site, you get the direct link that takes them to the property to your site. You blast out an email to them that says, you know, hey, I was looking at properties. I noticed, you know, I remember that you really wanted the gray and white color scheme with the hard surface flooring. Look at this house. And then if there's something that's questionable that might not match, I point that out because I don't want them to feel like I'm disconnected, right? So I say, I know you said Springville to Linden. This one's in PG, but it's right on the Linden border. Let me know what your thoughts are about that, okay? What are they gonna think? Geez, Micah knows my search. Like, that's incredible. And if they come back and say, yeah, PG's okay, I'm going in and adjusting their search on command and in WFR, and I'm bringing it up to PG. And then if they say, wow, that house was really cool, next thing is, do we want to go take a look? Oh, I don't know my password.
Do you want me to log in under mine?
Then I couldn't show the emails. Yeah, go ahead and log in on yours, and I'll just show them how to do it.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have my password saved on mine, so I don't know my password. I would have gone in and just shown you some of the searches I already have set up.
You're saying you send it.
You don't send them the link from Utah Real Estate?
No, never.
How come?
Only from my command site. Because I want them to get used to using my site, saving properties, favoriting properties, sharing properties. I don't want to confuse the issue with several sites. And I actually have a script that I use to get people away from other sites. So I always use Zillow as an example because they're the big bad guys, and they actually are really horrible at what they do and how late they are on properties and stuff like that. But I tell them, and this will be something, find what video point we are in this video and come back and listen to this and use this script because it has been so good for me. Hey, I just want to let you know, Mr. Buyer, I've actually paid for back-end access to the realtor database. I have an exclusive feed right into everything that's ever listed on that database. I do this for a couple of reasons. One, we all know the real estate market is incredibly fast right now. Even a 1-day delay in you seeing a property that comes up that matches your search could be the difference between you being the only offer they're considering and you being one of 11 offers that they're taking a look at. So we need to be there really fast. So I've actually paid for access to be able to make that happen. And I'll set up some alerts. We'll talk about that in just a minute. The other thing is all of the big portals like Zillow, Trillia, Yahoo Real Estate, Redfin, all of these other big companies, they're actually data mining your information. Everything you click on, every picture you look at, how long you stay looking at a property, they're packaging that and selling it to the highest real estate bidders. That's why sometimes when you click, I'm interested in this property, all of a sudden your phone starts ringing. I don't know if that's happened to you. It's crazy. And they're all like, oh yeah. I say, it's nuts. I do not data mine your information to sell to people. Would it make it like, why would I take what you're looking at and sell it, to somebody else? I want to earn the right to be your agent. So I have very fast access to properties and you're not getting data mined. And then pause outside of the script now. Everybody is concerned with privacy these days. When they hear that Zillow is data mining everything they do and selling it off, they're going to be more inclined to come back to your website, right? So I tell them that's kind of the script that I use.
Okay, so I'm logged in right here. If you do want to get into command to show them anything in there, just go up to that console login to the right there, and then we just need to make sure that screen's shared, but you're good to go. I'm going to watch on Zoom. You guys, it's freezing in here. Are you guys cold? Yes, it's like so cold. Okay, so yeah, go wild on this, whatever you want to do. But like I said, if you do want to get into command and show them anything, I've just got the console up there to the right.
Nice.
And then just make sure it says screen share. If you need a new screen share, we just click on that. So,
okay, cool.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Micah.
so give me a home search. Who owns a home in here already? Okay, who wants to talk about what you would want in a home if you were buying right now? Let's say, okay, we got it. Okay. 3-car garage. That's important to you. a 3, and listen to what I go through here. Has anybody used, I don't use Macs. Does anybody use a Mac? Okay, do you want to run this for me and I'll talk you through it? Okay, hit Control or to do a search for the website and look up garage real quickly. Okay, you'll just scroll to it. Okay, that's fine. I always just, on Windows, I do Control F, it opens up a box, I look for the word garage and it takes me right to that form. So, okay, put a minimum 3-car garage capacity. Okay, so question to you, Mr. Buyer. If we found the perfect house at a great price, but it only had a 2-car garage, would that be okay? Or is a 3-car important enough that you don't even want to hear about it? You could do a 2? Okay, so let's put it at a 2 just in case we find it. Now let's take the 3 out of the max, because what if we find a perfect house for $200,000 and has an 8-car garage? Like I don't want to not see that. Okay, okay. What's your ideal price range?
Say
400
400 to 500.
to 500. Okay, so if we found a really good house and it was $510,000, do you not? Okay, let's assume that before this conversation, you've already talked to my lender and he's told you you're approved up to 600.
Okay.
But you're being smart. You're not going to go right up to your max necessarily. So 500 is your cap. Okay, so if we found a really good house that was 510,000, would you want to see it? Okay, so what's the price that, regardless of how good and how perfect the house is, 1 penny more, you don't want to hear about it? 550.
Over 5.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I would put 550 in the top price.
Let's see, like 555.
That's fine. Yeah.
Let's see what is that. Like
Yep,
that?
that's good. Yep. Okay, and then what I do, if I put 555 in there, when I save this as an automated search, remember I said anything that's not in the numbers part that I gave them, I put into the box so that I can remember it, right? So I would put down when I'm saving the search, would prefer a house at 500, maybe up to 550 for the perfect house. Then if this pops up and it's 552, but it's everything they want, my script with you would be, hey, I know we want to stay around 500, and I know you told me 550 is the top price. I just thought I'd send this one over to you. I'm totally okay if you say no, but look at this. It's got blah, 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 blah. Do you want to take a look, or should we pass and find something a little less expensive? And then if you said no, let's pass, then I would ask you a follow-up question. Should we take that down from 550? And maybe you say, you know, me and my wife had a talk the other night. We really want to keep our payment below $2,400 a month. So we talked to your lender, and he said, if we want to keep our payment below $2,400 a month, we really need to be at 475 or whatever. I don't even know what it is. Then I would move that down to 475. Does that make sense? Okay. What else is in your, what areas do you want to be?
Probably like, let's see, Provo or
Okay.
Spanish Fork.
Provo or Spanish.
I'd say probably from Spanish Fork to Eagle Mountain.
Spanish Fork to Eagle Mountain.
Yeah.
Cool. What gives you that range? Are we trying to stay close to work? Are we trying close to
work.
family? Okay, close to
Just
work.
convenient.
Okay, where do you
Closest.
work? Okay, you work in Orem, right off of 8th North. Okay, and so I'm thinking of your search, Spanish Fork to Eagle Mountain. Are you trying to stay within about 20 minutes
Yeah.
drive time? Okay. Okay, interesting. So we want to stay probably in the closer in area of Eagle Mountain, because driving from my sister's house, which is in the ranches at Eagle Mountain, to the office here takes me about 27 minutes. Are you okay with a 27-minute drive time, or do we want to restrict it down to 20 minutes right now? Okay, let's start at 20, and then if we're not seeing enough houses, we can open it up a little. So maybe instead of Eagle Mountain to Spanish, maybe we say like down around to North Spanish Fork, even actually South Spanish Fork. You could. How about we set that as criteria and see what comes up? Okay, and I would go in. I hate using city for location. I would go up to View Map, right under. Yep, right there. And then I would just draw. I use the second box over, the kind of the squiggly thing. One more over. Yep. I'd click on that. Oh, we need to zoom in first. Yeah, scroll to the area that we want. And yeah, it's okay. Yep.
How do you delete that?
Just hit escape, I think. Yeah, we're way off track. Okay, there we go. Now scroll up. Yep. That's okay. I'd pull that up just a little bit higher, just screen or slide map up. Yep, now zoom in just a little bit. Okay, and there you go. And so then do that box and we'll just draw it around. Yep. Yeah, and it doesn't really matter for this purposes, but I just kind of draw that down. You're good. And then just, that's okay, just come straight down. That's fine there and go over and up. And we'll just pretend that's the search criteria. Then double click that on that point. Yeah, okay. And then click the X up on that top one because it still is holding Salt Lake. Okay, then I go hide map. I probably would set a minimum price because I don't want to see a bunch of stuff that you're not going to want to see. So if you told me your search was, you had wanted to stay around 5, I'd probably set the bottom at like 425. Okay, so now we got 55 homes coming up. Just as a note, there's 2 different numbers that you want to see of total properties. For setting up an auto search, I like there to be somewhere between 30 to 50 currently available if possible. Sometimes it'll be less than that. I'm never going to send a client a list of 30 homes. That's just way too many. You want it to be less than 15. But for the search, if I've got between 30 to 50 homes in there, they're going to be getting a couple a day, probably. What else do we want to add to your search? Or should we just stop it here and just pretend like we got it down? Okay, so then, yep, you can view the results. What I usually do, we're not going to do this right now. I'll usually go in and look through those and be like, oh, I forgot to take townhomes off or, you know, whatever. And then I'll go and adjust the search. So go back out to view results. Yep. And then actually from any of these pages, up at the top is create listing alert. So listing alert name would be your name, you know, Bob Jones search. We'd scroll down. I do not link it to a client. This is just for me to see. And then keep scrolling. Oh, I forgot they changed this. I always just put select viewable by selected clients only. Okay, and then scroll down. Oh, is it? Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Okay, so I want to see a date. And then you choose the hour of the day and stuff. Okay, the MLS right now will let you do 15 express alerts. What that is the second a property is listed that matches that search, you're going to get it in your inbox. I doubt you'll ever run into that limit. I don't think you'll have 15 buyers in the car ready to buy a house as soon as you find it for them. If you are, you need to hire probably 2 buyer's agents to work for you. So you could just start with Express Alert. The only way you'll ever get full is if you're not dropping people out of your hot list when they're not hot buyers anymore. We'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, and then on the email option, scroll just a little bit. You're going to say select send it to me and not the selected client. In the email subject, I would put Bob Jones home search alert. Down here, I'd put their email so I can cut and paste really quickly. And then I would put, like in this search as an example, you said you prefer to be at 500. I pushed you up kind of to 550 just to see what your limit is. So this is going to send me houses that are 535. I need to know that. So I would, one of my note comments in here would be really wants to stay around 500. Said the max he would go to is 550, searches at 555 or whatever. And then when a house comes up, I can talk to you about that.
Where do you keep those notes?
These?
Yeah, like all their search criteria.
Yeah, so in 2 places. Anything that's not going to come up on the search, I put right in here, okay? In command, there's also a place, an opportunities tab where you can say, these guys are in the process of looking for a home right now. Here's what they want. And you can actually have notes of what they're looking for in command. So you'll keep it in both places. Then you can remember, because honestly, once you start getting all of your service providers that are sending you referrals, once you're working your SOI, your friends, family, neighbors, everybody else, and you're getting maybe 2 or 3 buyer referrals a month, and then maybe you're doing command ads on Facebook and you're picking up 20 to 30 buyers a month, you're not going to remember. Honestly, in my opinion, maybe I just have a bad memory. If you can remember everything that every one of your current buyers wants, you're not busy enough right now. Okay. Okay. So that's good with that. Let's just go back to the night, or maybe let's stop sharing screen. So just down. Yeah. Right down here. Yeah. Okay.
I need to find where the Ignite.
Oh,
is.
click. That's it. That's good there. We don't even need to put it in presentation mode.
Let me share it.
Yeah, I don't care. That's fine. Okay, so now back to where we were with buyers. So you're checking in. If you've got a hot buyer, somebody who's ready to buy as soon as you find them a house, you are checking in every single day on listings that come up. And so I'll get an email. I think it would. I think you'd go up to view. And
Well, you know what? We can see that just fine like it is.
let's just leave it there. Okay, so with your hot buyers, people that are in the car, ready to go look at houses, they're approved, they've signed a buyer broker, they're ready to buy with, as soon as you find them a house, you want to be looking at their search every single day. You do not want them to be the only one sending you properties saying, I found this house, and this house. Because if they're the ones driving the search, what are they going to think your value is? I don't know. If you're the one sending them properties, they're going to feel like you're making a contribution. Now that can be hard. When you get a buyer that's like on fire, ready to go, ready to buy a house, I kind of hope that they're engaged so much that they're sending me properties. But if I've got my search set up on Utah Real Estate that's feeding me properties, I've got them set up in command. If they come to me with a house from Zillow or a house from wherever I saw this sign in this house, it means one of two things 99.9% of the time. Either they've gone outside of their criteria, which we're going to talk about, or it's already under contract. Okay. And that, if it's under contract, did somebody say something?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So a regular client, they have access to can they set up a listing alert for themselves on Utah Real Estate?
Yep. Well, they can, just like they could on Zillow or anywhere else. I want them to do their searching from my command site.
Okay, so like if you say they find a property before you, where would they be going, and what
Probably
are you?
Zillow. I
Okay.
think 90% of the time they're coming to me from Zillow. Hey, I found this house, or I found these 3 houses on Zillow.
Okay, so what are your top 3 resources to find homes? Like, do you look on KSL? Do you look on Zillow? Is it Zillow, Utah Real Estate? And do they, obviously they have access to KSL and Zillow and Utah Real Estate. So what are your top 3?
I don't even do KSL anymore. I used to. Yeah, for FSBOs, I don't. Okay, so he was asking if I ever get anything from FSBOs on KSL. Do you mean like contacting them to list their home?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's different. So if we're talking, if we were in an Ignite.
Do you go to KSL and like search for homes that they may be, is that even worth the time to do that, to look for homes that a buyer may be interested in, to see if there's anything listed there that's not on the MLS?
Yeah, I don't on KSL, I do on Zillow. And I'll get into that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Say you find a FSBO,
Mhm.
they're selling by themselves, which means they probably don't have an agent looking to buy a house.
Right.
So could you contact FSBOs and be
Absolutely.
like, hey, do you need help looking for a house?
Yeah. Most FSBOs are going to tell, I think that's a great script. Most FSBOs are going to, the reason they're a FSBO is they think they can do it themselves to save money, which you can show them that you can actually save them money, or they had a bad experience with an agent, right? Okay, so you find out what their concern is and resolve that, and there's ways to do that. We could talk about how to resolve the I want to save money sometime. We're not going to get there today. Basically, that script comes down to, would you rather save $12,000 on a commission or make $20,000 more on your house? And you have to know what your listing plan is, because you really can make somebody $20,000 more on a house than what they could make without you. So, okay, so so they come to you with a property. Hey, I found this property. Let's say it's from Zillow. It's going to mean they've gone outside their search, or it's a FSBO, possibly, that happens sometimes, or it's already under contract. I love when it's already under contract because, and I'll tell them when they come to me, hey, this one didn't come up on our search. I'm going to do some research right now. I'll find out everything that I can about this property. It may already be under contract. Zillow loves showing properties as available that are already under contract. That's one of the ways they get you to come to them, is because they've got a house that's not showing up anywhere else because it's actually sold, so that they can data mine your information and sell it to agents. That's one of the reasons I set up back-end access through the Realtor database, so that you can avoid that. But I'm going to research this site for you. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And then on my end, what I'm doing is, if it is active, I want to know why it didn't come up in my search. Okay. If it did come up in my search and I sent it to them, I need to do a little bit of training with my buyer to keep them from going to Zillow. So that'll just be another conversation like the script we've already had. Usually it's going to be under contract already because the market is so fast and Zillow is not updating properties, or the agent is marking it as active backup and it still shows on Zillow as active. The buyers, I don't think they have a really easy way to see that. And so I just tell the buyers, like, hey, this is one of the things I told you about Zillow. They really are working right now to get as many people into their site as they can so that they can data mine them and sell their information. This one is under contract. So, you know, I got you the information. Sometimes I'll tell them it went under contract 3 weeks ago, and then I can say, see how slow Zillow is. If it's outside of your search, I want to know what isn't matching. If you sent me a house after I sent up that search and topped it at 555, but the house is 610, I'm going to have a conversation with you. Hey, when we were talking, you said you felt comfortable around 5. You said maybe up to 550 if it was the perfect house. This one that you just sent me is 620. Do we want to raise our search up? And maybe you'll say, no, my wife and I were just kind of dreaming. Or maybe you say, yeah, oh, I forgot to tell you, I just got a big old raise at work. I talked to your lender and I'm qualified for 750 now. And so we're up in our search, or whatever. And if they're going outside of your search intentionally, figure out where and then update your search if it's appropriate, or talk them back into their search. Hey, I remember when we first talked, you told me that you don't want a split level house, a split entry, because you mentioned that you want your kids to be able to run right out the back door and play, and you didn't like the split entry because that means you're up a level and they have to go downstairs, and you were concerned about that. Has that changed? Well, we're just not finding anything on the market. Okay, let's talk. Why don't we have a meeting? And I set them up on Zoom now. When can you and your husband get together? Oh, tonight at 5:30. Great. Let's set up a video call and just kind of have some more conversation, because I want to make sure that I really understand what you're looking for as a buyer. And then we'll have that conversation. Hey, we had talked about this. This house really is nice inside, isn't it? All new, fully rehabbed, but it is that split entry. What do you think? Oh, well, maybe that's okay. And then I'll go through all the rest of the stuff too. What about price? Are we still wanting to stay below 335 on price? Are we, we just go back through it with them. Okay, so let's see. We kind of talked about qualifying properties. Let's talk just real quickly. I'm on page 16 now. Let's talk about preparing to show homes. So some of this is very self-explanatory. We're going to look at the showing instructions. We're going to figure out what the agent wants. You want the selling agent to think that you are very organized and very professional. If they get 7 offers, you do not want to be the agent that bug them asking questions that they had already answered online, right? So look at the agent remarks. If they say no showings available until after Saturday, September 27th, open house from 1 to 2, offers will be accepted Monday. I still will call on those types of things, but I'll recognize, hey, I read your instructions that you're not wanting to do showings until after the open house. Got a question for you. I've got some buyers that are super well qualified, actually pre-approved for about $100,000 more than what you're asking on this house. With my lender, good down payment, ready to go. I coach all of my buyers about how due diligence should work, and I haven't had a buyer cancel on due diligence for a minor repair ever in my career. Question for you. If we came and were able to talk you into getting us into the house before the open house, and we got you an above ask offer with short contingencies and non-refundable earnest money after due diligence, would the sellers consider putting it under contract before the open house? Avoid the whole hassle of that. I'll ask them. I just had one this week that said yes. And we went in and got the offer accepted before the open house. So if they say no, just say, hey, that's great. I just thought I'd ask, right? We got to do the best by our clients. So you'll be there Saturday from 1 to 12. Do you care if I send my clients without me? Or if you want to go with them, do you care if I, we'll be there at 11:30 or whatever. Okay, so you've looked at the instructions. I always ask them, do you have any pending offers? These days, if the house has been on the market for a week and it's a good price, they do. I always ask them carefully, do you represent any of the buyers in those offers? I don't want to insinuate that they're going to be dishonest, but I do want to tell my buyers, hey, this house has 6 offers and the listing agent actually represents one of those offers. We're going to have to really compete strongly if we're going to want to be able to do this. Market's fun, isn't it? He said it's ridiculous how the market is right now. I think it's fun.
Just like Josh was saying earlier, I did an open house for a townhome in Eagle Mount, or in Saratoga, sorry. And within that day of the open house, I think he said 17 offers were put in.
Awesome.
That's ridiculous.
That's the market though. Go ahead.
Well, so my question, I guess, with that is how do you approach that with your buyers, right? Like if you've got someone who's like, can't go over 350, granted, it's not 100% of the time, but most homes right now are going for above asking, right? Just because of the multiple offers. So how do you approach that with, hey, I know you said you guys won't go a penny over 550, but if you actually really want this, you're probably going to have to do 560.
Yeah. Part of my buyer consultation that I do, which
not with yours, no.
Well, yeah, not with mine, but the Ignite
Yes,
last week. Okay. Part of the buyer consultation that I do these days, you have to address the market and the current situation,
right?
Or you're going to get out there and you're going to place 3 offers and they're going to choose other people all the time and your client's going to get discouraged and they're going to probably start thinking you're the problem, right? If you haven't gone over it with them already. So I have some things that I do with buyers that I don't know how conventional they are. Right now, let me give you an example. My MAPS real estate coach gave me this example a while ago on a call because we have a service mentality. We want to help people get into a home. And the person I want to help more than anybody else is the newlywed couple that's got $2,000 to their name, but they got good jobs and they want to get their first house, right? In this market, that may not happen. So I've got some rules of what buyers I will work with. If somebody needs the seller to pay down payment assistance, I will not put them as an active hot buyer unless they're looking in an area that they can do a rural loan. Because honestly, right now, I cannot get an offer approved on a house that needs $5,500 of closing costs in Provo. So the way that my real estate coach put it, because that was such a hard thing for me. She said, look, how much do players make if they win the Super Bowl? Millions of dollars, right? And she said, if you just open the locker room doors and said, anybody that wants to play, maybe you'll win, come on in, you'd be flooded. And half of them shouldn't even be on the bench. Probably 90% of them shouldn't even be on the bench, let alone getting in the game, right? So you've got to make sure, first of all, that you're working with buyers who can do it. Now, in some markets, every home is going above list price. I don't think we're there yet. It feels like it, but I just pulled stats for Utah County. I think the median price right now was like the average price was like $369,800, and the average asking price and the average sales price was like $371,000, which is weird for the average sale to be higher than the average list. It does mean properties are going above value, but not all of them. But in my buyer presentation, to answer your question, I tell my buyers, what's a good deal on a home? I'll ask them. Oh, I don't know. I guess you're getting it for less than what it's worth or whatever, And I say, great. In our market today, it's so hot and so fast. A lot of sellers agents are actually listing properties for less than what they could sell the house for. And I just had this conversation with somebody on Friday. We wrote an offer. We just went under contract this morning before the class. Ask price was 259, 258, something like that. Maybe 261, something right around that 260 number for a house, a single family house in Provo, nonetheless, for under 300, but all the way down to like 260. So in this buyer consultation, before we got to the looking at houses point, I told them the value of a house is what you're willing to pay for it. That's an exciting deal for you. We may look at houses that are asking 300,000, and these guys were approved up to 340. But in reality, they're worth 420, 425. The agent has just mispriced it. And they're going to get multiple offers, and it's going to go above what asking price is. That doesn't mean if you paid 320 that that's a bad deal. It may be worth 325. What we're going to do before I ever write an offer on a house for you is I'm going to pull comps, and I'm going to look at what I think the market value of the property could be. And then we're going to come back and have a discussion of where do you think we should offer. And I'll tell you, if it's the place, if this is the house and you're going to be heartbroken crying all weekend because you didn't get it and you're going to wonder if you should even be buying a house, we'll probably be offering above what they're asking. And you'll still be getting a good deal on it. So with these buyers that I had, we had that conversation. We saw this house, and I asked them, because we've been out to look at houses 3 times. This was the 3rd time. Honestly, usually I'm writing offers after the 1st time right now with buyers, but I asked them on this house, what have we looked at that's a single family house that's under 300,000? And they're like, nothing at all. And I said, okay. And this house is 369 or 361 or whatever it is. And I said, what do you think we should offer? And he's like, I don't know. What do you think we should offer? And I said, well, not only does the top level of this house meet what you wanted, has 2. Oh, did I just say 3? It was 2.
Before you said 2.
Yeah, it was 2. And I asked him, what have you seen under 300? Nothing, blah, blah, blah. And not only that, just the top level of the house matches what they wanted in a house. And there was an outside entrance to a basement with an easy area to put a kitchen. And they said they would be interested in having a mother-in-law apartment. Now, I have a whole nother script where I teach people the difference between a mother-in-law and accessory and a duplex. And I think that's important, because I don't ever want somebody coming back saying, you told me I could rent this basement out and the Provo Police Department just came and said we can't, whatever. So we have that discussion. So I make sure we use the right words when I'm talking to them. They wanted a mother-in-law apartment. Yeah, go ahead.
When you're looking at, say, a listing on the MLS, under the zoning, how can you tell if it is rentable or not?
I don't tell for them. I leave that up to the buyer to call and verify with the city. And in Provo, there's actually a zoning disclosure that they have to give that says this is zoned single family, blah, 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 whatever. I don't look it up for them. I just tell them, here's the number that you would want to call to verify the rentability of the apartment. And we've already, if somebody says, I want a kitchen in the basement or I want an entrance to the basement, I know what they're looking for. We all know what they're looking for. And so I have that discussion. A mother-in-law means that you could have family members stay there and not charge rent. An accessible apartment, legal accessory apartment means that you can live in the top, rent out the bottom. But if you move, you cannot rent out the top and the bottom. You would have to just rent the house out as a whole. Here's what a duplex is. As you go up that scale, the price goes up. Some people are comfortable renting out mother-in-law apartments. It happens all over Provo all the time. Other people prefer to have a legal accessory, blah, blah, blah. I'll let you decide what, between you and your wife, what you're comfortable with. And so I had that discussion with these buyers. We sent an offer in Saturday afternoon. We went 272 with an escalation clause. Escalation clause says we will pay $500 more than any other offer you have received by this day and time, which we put Sunday at 6 a.m. because the agent had said they'd received multiple offers and Sunday at 6 a.m. was the deadline. So that was our offer, 272. I had them write a letter. They put a picture of their family. They talked about how they love the kitchen, how they love the garden space, how it's so cool for their 2 little boys that they can run out the back door and play in the backyard, blah, blah, blah. And we're sending you an awesome offer because we want to truly reflect how much we want your beautiful home and to raise our family there. I got a call from the agent. He said, we really want to accept your offer. We have another offer that's higher though. I said, how much higher? He said, 285. And he said, but my buyer said they would sell it to your buyer, or my seller said they would sell it to your buyers for 282, which is nuts. Why? I still don't get it, honestly. I said, let me call my buyers real quickly. So I called them. I just said, hey, we're up to 282. We got the house at 282. They have another offer at 285. I want to make sure that as buyers, if we decide to go to 282, that you're still excited about it. And they said, let's have a conversation. Me and my wife have a conversation. They call back. They're like, this is the place. And they're celebrating this morning. We got it under contract for 282. And the agent put the stupidest clause in that I've ever 300 something and 900 something in Provo. Yeah, happened this morning. No, it's like, yeah, pull it up. It's like maybe like 356 West 900. Yes, yeah. Oh, you'll get 3 properties. I doubt he's done it yet. We just went under contract like right before the class. What was the clause that you found? So he put a clause in the contract because he was worried about appraisal, right? Sellers agents have to prep their buyers like this appraisal may come in low. Just do a search for Provo single family house under 300. There will be like 2 that come up, maybe 3, and this will be one of them. And it's like 356 something, 900 something, I think. Or
so active under contract is back up. There's 23.
Single family? You took out, and is it just in Provo?
Yep.
23? Yeah, keep looking. Anyway, so the clause that the agent put in, because he's worried about the appraisal, I mean, we're like $18,000 or something above list price, something like that. He put in a clause that says, if the property appraises for less than the purchase price, buyer agrees to pay $2,000 more than the appraised price up to 282. So he just told us they'll drop the price for the appraisal. They could have come back to us and said, hey, we could have come and said it appraised at 278. We need you to drop the price. And they could have said no. Now that means we're paying 280. So I was on the phone with the buyers this morning and I'm like, guys, this is awesome. Because I always prep my buyers for a bad appraisal. I want them to be excited about a bad appraisal. Here's what I said. You guys are willing to pay 282. If this appraises for, say, 275, you're going to get it for 277. This is a great clause for us. If it appraises, if it's less than the purchase price, the buyers will pay $2,000 more than the appraised value. I love that clause. That's the coolest thing a listing agent's ever done. Is it marked under contract yet? Kind of like blue green. Is there another picture? No, that's not it. No. No, it was like 260 something. Anyway. Or 270s? No, 260 something. No, I was going to call my assistant upstairs real quick and say, give me the address, but. Oh, that could be it. Let me see that one. Okay, tell me when it's up. Okay, so prepping buyers for inspections and appraisals is important. There's appraisers in this market that single-handedly feel like it's their responsibility to stop homes from appreciating. I swear it's like their goal. It's a picture where it's zoomed out. That's the only one I've seen. I didn't even go to the house. I sent them to the open house because I had a soccer game for my kids on Saturday. No, we saw that one. We didn't offer on that one. That one got a cash offer. Is it under contract? Yeah, we showed that one to them the first day it was listed, and they were going to go with our offer, but they got a cash offer for the same price and went with that. Okay, resolving the buyer inspection concerns up front. So I just had a conversation with them. We need to get in. We only have 10 days of due diligence, and after the 10 days of due diligence, their $2,000 of earnest money goes hard. I love that clause because I can get an appraisal ordered within the first 10 days. My lender can get that done if they've already turned in their paperwork. I use Lane Decent at Security Home Mortgage. What about home warranty? Home warranty, I really like Elevate. The reason that I like Elevate, and there may be others that do this, so check. Elevate will throw in code updates on repairs for free. Let's say there's an old house with an old water heater. It doesn't have an expansion tank and it doesn't have earthquake straps. Most home warranty companies, if the water heater has to be replaced, they'll replace it. But legally, they have to put in an expansion tank and water and earthquake straps now. but they will charge your clients for that because it wasn't part of the original installation, right? It seems fair to me. I mean, I'm not saying that's unfair. Elevate, and there was one other that I talked to that won't. They won't charge for code updates up to like $250 or something like that. So that's why I like them. I don't want a client coming back someday being like, man, I got the home warranty, but they still charged me $110 plus the trip charge of $65. Like, it's just easier. Okay, so prepping buyers for due diligence inspection. So these guys are getting an inspection. I told them what companies to call. I told them we've got to have it ordered day one. We're not going to wait around because we do not want to get up against the inspection deadline on the back end. So they were ordering it today. And I said, I want you to understand something with inspections. Every home inspection is going to have 10 to 17 pages of problems. Even new homes will have 10 pages of problems in the home. What we're looking for on a home inspection is items that are dangerous, like a double tapped main electrical service line that's arcing and you can see the burn marks in your box, like that's dangerous. Carbon monoxide that might be leaking out of a furnace, that's dangerous. So items that are dangerous or items that are causing current damage to a property, like a sink that's leaking or a toilet that's leaking, those are the things we're gonna go to the seller and ask for them to work on. We are not going to go to them and say, oh, the smoke detector is past its useful life of 5 to 7 years. Can you replace that? We're only typically looking for dangerous items and current property damage. And that really helps to not have a buyer that's like, well, they have a door to the garage that's not fireproof and that's against city code. Well, yeah, the house was built in 1965 and that wasn't city code when it was built. Like, I just like to prep for that. With the appraisal, I always talk to buyers if they've gone over list price, for sure. And a lot of times I'll talk to them regardless of what the price is, but I'll just say, look, in this market, homes are going up really quickly. A lot of appraisers, and I say that same line, they single-handedly want to try to stop the appreciation in the market. And so they're appraising houses at what they were worth 6 months ago. But I want you to understand something. This is a good thing for us. If we get an appraisal that comes in low, we get to go back to the seller and ask them to give a lower price than what you were willing to pay. You guys told me you're excited to pay $282, right? Yeah. Well, what if we get it for $277? That would be cool. Now, there will be some stress in that because when we ask for a lower price, the sellers may say no, or they may say, well, we'll split it 50-50. There may be some negotiations, but that's what I'm here for, and we'll work through that. Worst case, we go find another house, but usually you'll end up getting the property for less than what you were willing to pay for it. I just don't want to give people stress when those things happen. Okay, so showing homes, back to showing homes. Okay. Try to give a 24-hour notice if possible. I kind of edit that in my standard practices to say prior day notice, and I prep my buyers for that too. I hate when I've got a showing scheduled at 3 in the afternoon and they call me at lunchtime on their break and they say, oh, I just found 2 other properties. Can we add them? Because now your time slots are off and you got to redo your maps. And I'll try to do that if they do come up with that, but I try to talk them out of that. So I usually tell them, look, the market is so fast right now. We want to get to homes as quickly as we can. We're going to start our search by compiling a list of like the top 5 to 6 houses right now that are available. And then from there, we're going to watch every day to see what comes up. And we'll get you out to see the houses as fast as we possibly can. Sellers typically want 24 hours notice to get you into a house. Occasionally, we'll be scheduled to go out and see homes. A house will pop up. I'll try to get you in, but a lot of times we're not able to get in to see that house if we've already got other stuff scheduled. And I kind of try to prep them for that. I also tell them, once a house in this market hits a weekend, the chances of having multiple offers goes up like 200% as opposed to a house that hits the market on a Monday. So our golden time for seeing properties is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, so that we can get an offer in on the property before the weekend and have it accepted before they get the weekend rush.
So you don't really want to do showings on
No, you're okay. You're okay to do them. I personally don't want to do showings on a weekend. I kind of want some downtime. It's okay to go show houses. I'm not saying don't go show houses, but if you kind of educate your buyers just a little bit and say, look, if we want to get the best deal on the best house, the golden window, the best time would be to send an offer in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it'll kind of just prep them to push into that time a little bit for you. But don't not go show a house, like, because then you're disservicing your clients. But I would prep them, especially if they're going like these guys, that said they wanted to go see the house. I saw that there was an open house. I called the agent and said, hey, I have some buyers that are under a buyer broker. They want to come out and take a look at your property. Here's their names. They're going to come at this time. I prepped the agent at the open house if I was not going with them. And then I talked to them and educated them and said, hey, be real careful. Like if they ask you like, hey, who's your lender? Things like that. Don't, they represent the sellers. If you can, be at the house because you're building the relationship with them. Okay. Let's go through this real quickly. So this says to check and make sure your buyer has the earnest money and things if you're going to place an offer on the house. I think that should have happened in the buyer consult. Like if you're out showing houses and you don't even know if your buyers have earnest money yet, you've jumped the process just a little bit. Yeah.
What is like a good percentage to put down as earnest money?
I'm typically telling my buyers right now that with how competitive the market is, the more earnest money that we can put down, the more memorable our offer will be. I typically recommend 1% of the purchase price, but there's not a fixed number. And especially buyers that have a little amount of money down, sometimes that's a lot for them. But remember, I'm not showing houses right now to buyers that need to get closing costs unless they're out in a rural area where that can be part of their loan. So if somebody doesn't even have $5,000 or $6,000 sitting in the bank, if it's stressful for them to come up with $1,000 of earnest money, you need to be careful and make sure their search is realistic and that you're going to be able to actually get them a property. We want to get them a property, but if they're not ready to play, you might want to just check your process. But I tell people 1% is good. We had an offer. Oh man, these guys, cash offers. They were looking for a house that was within walking distance to BYU. Tree Streets are kind of back behind the Marriott Center there. We had a house. We went in the second day it was listed because it was a new search. Their cash. And we lost. We had an escalation clause cash offer, 7-day due diligence, 2-week close, and we lost out to somebody else. And I was like, man, this is sad, guys. Let's go find you another house. We put this basically the same type of an offer on another house right in that area. The sellers were going to accept it and called us and said, oh man, their kids just said they want to buy it. So we lost out on a second house. So the third house that we went to, same thing, cash offer, escalation clause. I said, guys, what would you think about putting $100,000 of earnest money down? And they were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, we want to make it memorable. You told me that, right? And we did $100,000 of earnest money, non-refundable after due diligence, cash offer with an escalation clause. We got it. Okay. Yeah, that one we got. The agent called and said, did you have a typo on your earnest money? I was a little bit nervous because there was a scam that was going around a couple of years ago where you'd put high earnest money down on properties that were in HOAs. This one wasn't an HOA, and then when they don't send you the financials of the HOA, which nobody ever does, they would cancel the contract to seller default and they would request liquidated damages in the amount of the earnest money. Anyways, it was like this whole thing. So I was a little bit nervous of doing that, but we did it. We got the offer. So your question, how much earnest money, what your buyers feel comfortable with, but I educate them on earnest money. And then you've got to step up and take ownership of their earnest money. Now, if you mess up and they lose their earnest money, that's not a good thing. So if I've got a 10-day due diligence period with earnest money becoming non-refundable after that due diligence, I'm going to make sure that they have all of their due diligence done, including the appraisal and as much of the loan approval as we can get before we pass that 10 days.
So, with how like crazy the market is right now, they give you the check for the earnest money and you don't end up getting that offer. Do you just return the check to them or keep it for another house?
Whatever they want. Yeah. I mean, you're going to turn it into the office. So the office will be holding it and I'll just tell them, I'll just tell them, hey, do we want to just leave this sitting for when we find the next house or do you want to get it back? We've got to wait for the check to clear. So it's going to take, I can't remember what our office is, 10 days or 7 days or something. Think about that, talk about it, let me know. I think it goes about half and half. I like them to keep it here because that means they're seeing me as their agent still and I'm out. We're intent on finding another property. Okay, educate yourself about the homes, demographics, determine which route to take. All of that's pretty. Do you feel comfortable setting up 4 or 5 properties to go see and how to go through that process of mapping it out and using showing time and all of that? Do you have any questions about that? I'd kind of like to skip over this area, but I'm good covering questions if you have them. Okay, showing time has become really cool. It used to be a lot harder to schedule showings than it is now. Showing Time has made that nice. Okay. Yeah. So you just take your 5 properties that you're going to go and show, you click them all, and up where you say, show me the agent full report or the client report or the client full report, down at the bottom is the showing time. Yeah. And you click on that, and then you can even look at the map, and I always reroute the map. I don't know why they can't get it right. They're like, we're going to go here and here. So I reroute that, and then I just send all of the requests. And then typically if I haven't heard back in a couple of hours, I'll go back in and just send a text to the agents and say, hey, I sent you a thing for showing time. And then if we get, within it, like if we're doing next day and I haven't heard back that morning, I'll call the agent and just say, what's up with your showing? I typically just as a tip so that you don't have to do a lot of extra work as you're scheduling these, I typically set, like if we're meeting at 4, I'll set the first house at 4 on showing time. And I'll request 4 to 5. And then the next house, I'll also request 4 to 5. And then depending on the drive, usually I'll do a half hour. So my third house would be 4:30 to 5:30. And then the next one would be 5 to 6. And then the next one would be 5:30 to 6:30. And that way, if one of them in there says, no, you can't see it, we can take that out and I don't have to go back through and reorganize all the showing time stuff. By the way, if you're ever looking for something for an assistant to do, set it someday. If you're sharing an assistant with someone, or if you've got someone working as a part-time assistant, that is such a great thing to send over to them and to get off your plate. One thing at the end of this, we talk about customer expectations. And we're talking about going above and beyond in each step of this process. What can you do to wow the customer? With every showing that I set up a Google Calendar invite. I have the property address in the to address. So if they're coming from work, they hit the map. It works on iPhones and Android phones. They hit the map, they're routed right there. Down in the notes, I put the address and I put, it says property information and a link. And that link is coming back to my IDX site. So you would go to the property specific page in your command site so they can go and get information. The other reason that I do that, a lot of times when you're walking through a property, they'll want to pop up, hey, what year was this built? I have no idea, but I can go right into my calendar invite. I'll just say, hey, I'll pull that up while we're looking around, and we'll be walking through the house. I'll click on my thing and look at it and say, oh, it's 1974. Okay, now in Ignite, they tell you to bring MLS printouts of the house and to put them in order and give the client a copy and you have a copy. I do not do that. I've always worked under the assumption or the goal, I guess I should say, I want them to walk around and see the house and picture themselves living there, right? Do you know that a 2,200 square foot house could feel smaller than a 2,000 square foot house depending on the layout of the house, right? You might have a 2,200 square foot that's a multi-level, ups and downs and all over, and you've got a 2,000 square foot rambler. I don't want my clients walking through a house like, now this one is 2,000 square feet, but that last one we saw was 2,375, and that's 156 per square foot, and this one's 145 per square foot. They're not even in the house. I mean, they're like, do that online. What are we even here for? So I do not bring a printout of the house for them. I don't want them focused on that. Now, they do have a cool page in Ignite. Let me find what the page is. As you're getting used to helping buyers decide on a home, page 18 has a home tour checklist. If you want to bring something like that, hey, what do we like about the view? What do we like? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? I think that could be helpful, but as much as you can, I like to just have them in the house. I know there's a part, well, we'll go to that part in just one second. I know when they're excited about a house, when they start talking about what room would be Johnny's room. And, oh, look at that. Why would they put a table there? Like would our China hutch fit there or what? Like, that's when you're starting to get clues that they're excited in a house. And from my experience, you're not going to get as much of that if they've got their nose in a page. Does that make sense? Okay. One thing that Ignite does talk about that might be a good idea, think about it, putting in your system. It says on this home buyer's checklist, home tour checklist, to have another page that's their 5 must-haves. It could be good to remind them possibly about that. Okay, so let's keep moving on here. We're touring the home now. Some of the stuff on here is really good. It's just stuff that you do once you've been in business for a while, but I haven't thought about this forever. First thing they say is ring the doorbell. If it has a lockbox, ring it twice, open the doors. And their script is, hello, real estate agent. I had a house that we walked into once. We knocked, waited, knocked, used the key. We walk in the house. Nobody answered the door. Nobody said anything. And I look on the what do you call the little coffee table right by the couch? And there's a bottle with like this much milk in it. And I'm just like, I'm thinking someone's here. So we're like, hello, you know, we're here to show the house, and nothing. So we're walking through this house. We walk upstairs, and this mom comes out of a bedroom. She's like, I'm so sorry. I was putting the baby down. And like, you can't avoid that, but it's good to ask. I went into a house once in Vegas. We were showing a vacant house. We had permission to be there. Nobody should have been there. We didn't even knock. We just went in, went downstairs, and there's like 15 college kids passed out on mattresses on the floor, like blow up mattresses. And they're freaking out. You know, they're like, oh, you know, at first I thought like, I didn't knock. Like, you know, I was worried that I should have like called out that we were there, but it's a vacant house, you know, so that we find out it's their uncle's house. They broke in and had a party there the night before and were camped out in the basement. Anyways, when you walk into a house, just knock a couple times, ring the doorbell, open the door and say, hey, we're here to see the house, you know, just yell and then go through. I also always, if there's closed doors, I like to open those for my clients, not just because of COVID, but if there's someone in there. We had a BYU girls approved housing we were showing once, had an appointment, supposed to be vacant. We did that knock. Hey, we're here. We're walking through the house. Bathroom door is locked. We knock on it. No answer. My clients are like, hey, we want to see the bathroom. So I go and get a butter knife from their drawer downstairs and start to unlock the bathroom. And somebody goes, I'm in here. Hold on. I'll come out. She thought she could just hide in there. She had just taken a shower and was like walking out of the house. So just make sure nobody's there, or if they are, that you know about it. Okay. This says record your own comments. I kind of want to hear what the buyers are saying. I want clues of if the buyer likes a house before I give any feedback on the house. If I walk in and there's a big crack running across the front room ceiling, I'm not going to say anything about it until we get their yes or no on the house. I will mention it. Like this house, the Cash House in Provo. We walked in, I noticed a crack. I waited to hear what they like. They love the house. And I said, hey, a couple of things. I'm hearing that you're liking this house, probably going to get an offer in on it. They're like, oh yeah. One thing we might want to ask the inspector about, they'll do a full job, but we noticed this crack right here. You know, we might want to ask them about it. Like, I'll point stuff out, but I don't start giving positive or negative feedback on a house until I know what the client is thinking about it. I'm not going to sell them. I'm not going to try to push them into a house that they like. I'm not going to allow them to go into a house blind if they love it and I think it's going to fall down next week. That's not my role anyway. That's the inspector's, you know, role. But I will give them objective information, but I'm going to wait to know how I want to couch that until I know what they think of the house. If they're walking through and they're like, oh, this kitchen's way too small, and oh, the backyard's way too small, and I don't, oh, look at this bedroom, it's not right by the master, and so we'd have to share 2 kids downstairs and blah blah blah, and they're not going to offer on that house. And I've noticed a few things. I'll point those out then. Like, hey, did you notice the 4-plex right next door that we walked in? It's not necessarily a quiet neighborhood. And did you notice the power line that runs right across the top of the house? And I would have pointed those out if they were interested in it as well. But how you present that to them will make them feel like you've really got their back. Does that make sense? Okay. Give descriptive names to the homes. I think people do that naturally. If you're seeing 6 or 7 homes, they may not, you know, you don't want to be like, oh, the 3rd house, because I just had somebody last week that kept saying that first house that we saw and it wasn't matching up. And I'm like, are you sure you're not talking about the 2nd house? And they're like, no, it was the 1st house. And then we found out it was the 2nd house. His wife is like, no, we saw that other one first. But it's nice to give them the names, like, oh, the blue house or the white house or the house with the spa or whatever, just so you're making sure you're talking about the same stuff. Okay, pointing out benefits. Let's talk about the difference between a feature and a benefit. Feature is master bathroom, right? That's a feature of the house, okay? Benefit of a master bathroom is you guys wanted your own ensuite area so that you've kind of got your private retreat. We talked about that during the buyer consultation. Look at how this has its own bathroom, has a walk-in closet, has a door out to the deck. This is really, I'm feeling like this is kind of that private retreat that you were wanting. Would you agree? So different than just saying, hey, and it's got a master bathroom and a walk-in closet. We want to talk about benefits, not just features. Yard is fenced. Okay, they've got a dog. Wow, look, the yard's fully fenced. Okay, that's a feature. Benefit, hey, remember how you wanted your yard to be fully fenced so you can let your dog out back? And weren't you talking about buying another dog now that you're getting your own house? Yeah, what do you think this yard would be like? How do you think that would work out for your 2 dogs now? Just a different way to present things. Okay, then we talk about houses that they really like. I like to have the buyers rate the house 0 to 5 stars when we're in it, just so that I can go back after and say, okay, the blue house and the house with the spa, you rated both of them 5 stars. The rest of them were 2 or 3 stars. Tell me your thoughts on those. Are we ready to make an offer? That makes sense. That way you have something to talk about. Okay, there's an activity that we were wanting to do that they want us to do. I'm going to skip that because I want to get through to some other conversation. We're talking about having us role play together, features versus benefits. You know, a house has new windows. Hey, look, the windows are all vinyl. That's a feature. You guys had told me that you want to keep your energy costs as low as you can. The new vinyl windows in here that are double paned with, they look like really nice windows, that'll probably help with that. That's a benefit. You see the difference?
So you're just saying the feature is
the thing.
What it is, but then the benefit is what it does for you.
Yeah, what it does for you, and specifically related to what they wanted that you talked about in your home buyer consultation. Okay, you may have somebody who's a contractor that could care less about the condition of the home because they're going to fix it up themselves anyway, and you notice that it has a new water heater, but what they really were focused on is an open floor plan. You're not going to be like, hey, look, this new water heater is really going to save you $2 a month in energy efficiency, because they're going to be like, oh yeah, and oh, look at the floor plan, so features that mean something to them, or benefits. Yeah, so you're right. The feature is the checklist item. The benefit is lifestyle. What's it going to get for them? Yeah, good point. Okay, recognizing buyer signals. Okay, tell me what signs you guys would think means a buyer is interested in the home. Don't cheat. Don't turn to page 22. When you're walking through a house with a buyer.
Just like you said, oh, we can put a TV here, put a couch here, this person.
Yep, so he said, put a TV here, put a couch here. This would be this person's room. Yeah, what else? So they're picturing themselves in the house. It's awesome.
Sometimes they're just looking at something and be like, oh, we need to.
Okay, good. So he said sometimes they're looking at something and they have a negative comment about it, but that could be a sign to buy, like we need to fix this or we would have to fix that. They're starting to see themselves in the house. Listen to how they say that. That one can be a little bit tricky. If the wife is like, oh, we'd have to, whatever, blow this wall out to get the open floor plan that we want, that's probably not a buying sign. But if they're saying like, oh, if we just took down those 1970s cabinets that they all put over the islands for some reason, if we just took these down, we'll be able to have this whole open space. Like how they say it makes a difference. Okay, asking questions about the seller. Why are they selling? How long have they lived here? Asking questions about the neighborhood. Do you know how many kids are in this neighborhood? I love fair housing questions that they ask you. They always do. Comparing it to other houses. Oh, this one's way better than that first house we looked at. Stuff like that are all buying signs. Sitting down in the house they list. I love when we're walking through a house and the husband and wife sit down in the sectional couch downstairs looking at the big screen, projector, and they're like, does the projector stay with the house? Like, I bet we could get them to leave it. Yeah. Let's include that in the offer. Okay. We're going to go on from there. Let's talk about so you've got a house, they love it, it matches everything they want, it's less expensive than they want, there's no other offers yet, and they say, we haven't seen enough properties yet. We really just want to look at a few more properties. What do you say? Okay, yeah. Maybe. Or maybe they have, but it's the perfect house. Maybe they walked around, wow, look at this, look how open this is. But then they're like, we really want to look at a few more. I've had buyers before and I haven't been able to resolve it sometimes. The first house they look at is perfect. And I know there's not another one that's going to come up. Like good price, good house, good area, just what they want. But they want to look at other houses. There's a good script on page 23. You know, when we sat down for our buyer consultation and talked about what you really wanted in a house, I'm feeling like this one matches it. Really nice houses in this market go really fast. If you like it, there's probably 10 other buyers that like it as well. I think this says one other buyer. So if this house matches everything you want, tell me your thoughts about possibly missing out on this wow house to go and look at other properties that we don't know if they're going to be as nice yet. Utah, especially Utah County, is really, you'll get a lot. We want to think about it. We want to talk about it. We want to pray about it. We want to, you know, meditate about it. I'm okay with that, but I want to set some criteria without them knowing that I'm setting some criteria. I totally agree. I really do think you should be together on whether or not we write an offer on this. We don't want to write an offer and just end up backing out because only one of you wanted it, right? Oh yeah, right. Does this house match everything that you've said you wanted? Absolutely. Yeah, everything. Is there anything you'd change about it? Well, we might paint that bedroom that's pea green. We might, you know, put it in a more neutral color. Great. Is that enough to stop you from buying the house? Oh no, we'd be fine painting it. Okay, here's what I would suggest. We know that this house is a good price because we've looked at other houses. It's exactly what you want. It matches everything except for the pea green room. I think you should get on the same page. Do you guys want to drive somewhere, talk about it for an hour, do whatever you need to do to make your decision, call me back and let me know if we're making an offer? Because I really think if we're going to be competitive on this house, we need to get an offer in tonight. No one's ever said no to that to me. That has got me up writing offers at 10 o'clock at night in the past. You know, we finished showing homes at 8:30. They say they're going to call me in an hour. They call me at 9:30 and say, we think we want to do it. I'm going to write the offer in this market because it's going to be gone tomorrow at 2. Okay. Objection. We really wanted this. You're going to go back to their 5 must-haves. If it's not one of their and this is page 23, by the way. If it's not one of their must-haves, now we go back to that buyer consultation meeting. You really said you wanted an open floor plan, a fenced yard, a 3-car garage. You had to stay under 425 for lending purposes, and you wanted whatever, a nice master ensuite. This has all of that, but you're saying that you really want a formal dining room. If we're looking at your 5 must-haves, does the formal dining room, is it important enough to take one of the other things off? And what do we want to take off? I'll just walk them through it. If it's a house that doesn't have one of their must-haves and they say they don't want it, that's fair. Now we know that's really a must-have, right? Okay. If it's a small thing, like we don't like this paint color, you can talk to them about that. But I would be careful here. Depending on your relationship with the buyer, buyers do not have imagination these days. They think they do. I found that about 1 in 100 actually does. I'll have buyers, oh, my brother's a handyman and he's taught me how to do all this stuff. And if we have a house that needs paint and carpet and new windows, we're good doing all that. And you walk in and they're like, oh, I would never live here. And all it needs is paint and carpet. If you try to sell them, oh, but you could redo the paint. Oh, but we could get the carpet. You could end up losing them. So be careful when it's a small item, you know, depending on the relationship. Okay. Decision-making process. I think we're pretty much almost done. Let's talk about, don't work with them. No. Okay. It's your best friend and what? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it actually gives you credibility. The problem with working with friends and family is they know what you were like 3 years ago before you put on the dressy shirt and the fancy clothes. Oh, sure. That's okay. I'll give them a discount sometimes. Yeah. I've actually found if you're professional enough, your friends and family are often the ones that don't ask for a discount. Just depends on how you put yourself forward. But yeah, I'll be blunt with them. I third person it. So, hey, we're friends. We've known each other since high school. I think it's so cool you're finally getting into a house. I treat you a little bit different than I treat other buyers because we're friends, right? If you were another buyer and you just said that to me, here's what I would tell you. And then I tell it to them. Then I can be really bold with them without being like, dude, you're stupid. Like, what are you talking about? But think about the commission, because you're going to have people that ask you about commission these days. That shouldn't be a conversation you're uncomfortable having, right? All of my buyers, I sign them into a 3% buyer broker. And if the property is 2% or 2.5 or 2.75, before I even go and show them the property, I say, hey, we talked about how the sellers pay the buyer's commission. On this particular house right here, the buyers or the sellers are asking you to contribute 0.5% towards the commission. I just wanted you to know that before we go and look at the property so you can compare apples to apples. On this house, it's a $400,000 house. We're only talking about like $2,000. We've got a couple things we can do to account for that, that we'll talk about if you're thinking you want to place an offer on it, but I just wanted to bring that up front. It's easy.
Do you see that a lot where sellers will ask buyers to pay a certain percentage?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah, all the time. Half of my showings that I do these days, it's less than a 3% commission. It's becoming a popular thing because the listing, yeah, Homie's opened the door, but there were people before Homie and there will be people after Homie. I mean, Redfin's been around forever. They were a discount brokerage just like Homie. It's not like a new thing that's disrupting our market. They like to think of themselves as the big disruptors because that's a cool thing to say in startups. They're not. They're the same as what's been around. But yes, commissions are discounted because the listing market is so hot right now. When you go out on a listing appointment, they've probably already talked to another agent that's going to do it for 4.5%. And the way that agent is doing it for 4.5% is by telling the sellers that they're either going to offer the buyer's agent 2% or 2.5%, and they're going to take the rest, which means on the buyer side, you will have properties that are offering less. I think I've got 3 under contract right now. And then the last couple of closings before that, all of them were discounted commissions. One of them was a full 1%. They're paying me $4,510. The buyers are paying in commission. This one that we just got accepted, I don't know if you ever found the listing. I think they were 2.75. So it ended up being like $780 or something that they're going to bring to the table. We'd already talked about it. It's not something that I need to be scared about. I let them know beforehand. Yeah, it's just a closing cost. Yeah. So they just bring it to the table. So yes, if it's a friend and they're asking you to cut your commission, they're not a friend. No, but if you put yourself forward very professionally, your friends should be some of your biggest supporters in that. Is a good question. Okay, let's see what we want to finish up on. My watch says I've been sitting for too long. I feel like I've been moving around. I might be off today. Yeah, we're going to rank the property. We're going to talk to them about pros and cons. We're going to talk to them about price. If they have been looking at other properties for a while, you can tell them when you're considering an offer, think of the other properties that we've seen. Have any of them matched everything that you want? No, or you would have offered on them. Or if it did and you're still looking, that means they didn't get the offer. How does this house compare to those? It's better. We love it. How's the price? It's actually a little lower or it's a little bit higher. If they've seen other properties, you can get them to a point where you're setting the price at where you want it to be, where you think it needs to be. If they haven't seen other properties, you're going to need to be the point of experience and just say, I've showed 32 houses this month in this city. I've gotten 2 offers accepted, or whatever you can say. Our company has sold, over 250 homes in Provo, Orem this month, whatever your stats are. I want to tell you just a little bit about this market and then know the market, right? Homes are selling in the Provo, Orem area in 8 days right now is the average. the average is also a higher sales price than asking price. I want to make sure you get this house, but I want to make sure we get it at a price that's a good deal, and that you're excited about. Let's talk about what you think we should offer on the property. And a lot of times I'll have buyers that pop up and they say, well, we saw that other home we didn't even like it as much as this home, and it was $40,000 more. Now it's probably because it was, 600 square feet more or 200 square feet more, but they're looking at house to house. They like this house better, and it's less expensive than that house. And then you just tell them, so what do you think we should offer? Do you think we should offer 40,000 more? I don't know if we need to go that high, but what we could do is we could offer this much more and put in an escalation clause or whatever, and you work them through the offer. You're going to need to talk to them about what the expectations are. Everybody wonders about what the expectations are. What do we do now? What do we do if the offer gets accepted? You'll have 4 calendar days to get earnest money to our brokerage. You can do that through a personal check or an electronic transfer. I'll be sending you an email about that once we get the offer accepted. We're then going to want to immediately schedule a home inspection. If you're choosing to do that, I do highly recommend that you do that. I'll send you information about that. We're going to want to get with the lender and get an appraisal ordered as quickly as we can. He's already gone through all of your loan processing with you. So the next step is the appraisal. We do not want to delay on that, and just kind of go through all of that. Okay, any buyer or showing homes type questions?
I just got like a personal question. So my friend has $30,000 saved up, and he's like, I want to save more money to buy next year.
Okay.
Do you think I should just be lenient with him and be like, hey, let's wait till next year, or be like, hey, house prices are going to go up and such?
Yeah. So Josh has a comment on that. I have a good answer for that too, because that's common. Okay. See if I use the same script you use. Okay. So he's got 30 grand. So it's not like he's sitting with no money and says, I want to save up. If someone can't cover closing costs right now in this market, they either need to save up or they need to be buying south of Spanish Fork, or it's not going to happen in this market. Okay. But if he's got $30,000, could he buy a house with $30,000?
Yes.
Yeah. $30,000 can be a 5% down payment on what? $450? I'm not doing the math right. Yeah, it's a good house. Say 5% down, conventional loan. Yeah, that'd be 22. Okay, so they're looking at like a possibility of a $500,000 house with 5% down, maybe 450, and you can still cover closing costs, right? Here's what I would talk to them about. I think you're thinking smart. We want to go into a house and be prepared to buy and to own, right? That's incredible. You've saved up $30,000. Good job. I mean, that's a good thing. A lot of people don't even come close to that after years of saving. Here's just one thought I want you to consider. Is he married? Okay, single guy. Here's one thought I want you to consider. Historically, over the last 5 years, properties have been going up over 10% per year in this area, whatever, Provo, Orem, American Forks, South Jordan, whatever. Let's say that we're looking at a $400,000 house. How much do you think you could save in a year? 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever, $15,000. Okay. So you think over the next year, you could save $15,000. That'll put you with $45,000 in the bank. Okay. I just want to let you know, you've done such a good job saving already that you could qualify to buy this house. And I'd like to get you in contact with my lender, and we'll just get that all sorted out, unless he's already talked to your lender. Here's the risk that you run trying to save. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's a good thing to save money. What if that $400,000 house that you want to buy today does go up 10%? And we don't know if it will. COVID's kind of weird. It looks like they may go up more right now, but that could change. It's now worth $440,000 next year. Okay. But you've saved another $15,000. Have you made money or lost money? You've lost $25,000. Now, just to add insult to injury, rates right now are, the last loan that my lender got approved for somebody was 2.7% on a purchase money loan with 5% down payment. They may be up a little bit from that. They could be a little bit lower. What if next year the economy's looking better, houses are going up in value, and they've raised rates to 4.5%? Now that $400,000, the payment on that $400,000 house that you could afford right now, that now is $440,000, your payment has just gone up by X amount per month, $200 a month or whatever. So you can afford $40,000 less now on your house because rates went up. So you lost $25,000 saving for your down payment, and you lost $40,000 in purchasing power because rates went up. Do you want to take that risk, or do you want to get into a house right now and start building wealth as it goes up? That's what I'd say.
You can't outsave appreciation. Stop trying to outsave appreciation.
Yep.
That's exactly what Mike was talking about. That's the worst. If he wants to gain wealth, he's doing it one of the worst ways possible. Maybe not the worst way, because saving money is good, but it's not best practice.
Yeah. So that's what I would say. And I have that conversation a lot right now. That's about it.
Hey, I got a quick question if you have time.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
So I have a client that is listing their house, and they just told me that they put a down payment or a deposit on a lot. How can I be there, represent them as a buyer?
Is the lot with a builder?
I think it's a custom home builder, so I'll probably find that out.
And they've already put the down on the lot.
I think it might be just a deposit. Yeah, down payment.
The seller of the lot is a private individual, or it's a development?
Probably a private. I'll find that out as well.
Okay, so you're in a tough spot where it's already happened and they already have the builder, right?
It just came up in conversation,
Okay.
and I was like, okay, let me find
so-
out some things before I am able to.
Right.
I just wanted to talk to somebody before I was able to
Yeah.
give them some information.
I would say most likely you're not going to get a commission on the lot, but what I do, I have a group of builders that can build anywhere from Logan down to Santaquin. Just people I've worked with in the past that have built homes for my clients that will roll a 3% commission into the build job.
Okay.
And so a lot of times I'll say, that's awesome, you got a lot. That's super cool. I wish I was there, because there's a lot of things to consider when you're buying a lot. And maybe I can help you look into some of those, all of the utilities that are stubbed or not stubbed and how close they are. And depending on the slope of the lot, you've got, perk tests and site studies and things that should be done. That's all part of what I do for clients normally when they're looking to buy a building lot. It may be a little bit too late on this one, but I'll help you. And then if that lot doesn't work out, outside of the script here, maybe you can help them find the next lot. But then if they've already got the lot, say, here's all of these builders that I work with. I'd like to have you interview them and see if you think they'll do a good job. Then you can get paid a commission on the build from the builder.
Pendejito.
Did that make sense, Joe?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we're getting somebody else on there too.
Yeah, Mari, I think your microphone came unmuted. Anyways, does that help? I would have some builders that you've worked with, that you've looked at their work, that you've checked their record, that you've seen if they've had a bunch of complaints that have been unresolved or anything. Make sure they're a good builder, and then call them up and just say, hey, occasionally I'll get people that want to buy a house. I'd like to refer you to them. Do you have the ability in your costs to work in a 3% commission on a build job? I've never had anyone say no.
I'll talk with another agent that I work with that he works a lot with home or new construction, so
Cool.
he can refer me to that.
Yeah, good question.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, any other questions? I think we're done. Good. All right, I'm gonna turn off the mic.